Hello and welcome to everyone. Today we'll be looking at how the class is set up in MyCourses system at Jackson College. MyCourses is an instance of the Canvas learning management system and runs all of our online courses. Let's start from the beginning and open your browser of choice. IT will tell you to use Chrome, but pretty much any modern browser will work. I tend to use Edge. So we'll pop that up and get us an instance going. Now, so we have a browser open. We'll go to the JC website at www.jccmi.edu. That is going to be here. And open the My Courses link at the top of the page, right here. You'll need to log into the system using your JC email and password. So mine's, oops, forgot, updated my password. You will have to update your password on a regular basis. The system will send you reminders when you need to do it, but I would highly advise you sign up with the password recovery system that is on our website. I have to do a two-factor authentication as a faculty member. I'm pretty certain you guys don't have to do this as students. So this step won't be for you guys. All right. You can skip the tour thing. Always pops up because I never finish it. Once you've logged in, you'll be on the My Courses dashboard. You'll want to select the correct course. In the case of this video, I'm going to be using Chem 131 I-50 Spring 24. It's not published yet, so that's why it's down here at the bottom. The published courses appear here at the top. I'm still working on a few parts of it, so I didn't want to publish it yet. There are two, okay, blah, 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 blah. Once you've logged in, you see this, you'll lead to the course homepage for the course. I'll take a moment to switch to student view so the course layout will match what you guys will see. Go away. Okay. There are two sidebars on the left of the screen, first one and the second one. The farthest to the left, the one in the JC maroon color, is the menu for My Courses overall. From this menu, you can access the Canvas mail system, or you get most of the general communications from me. That's right here. You can also access your personal schedule, which will have deadlines for your various assignments across courses. That's going to be located right here. The inner sidebar is actually an expanded hamburger menu and can be collapsed and expanded at the top, like this. Let's talk about the menu options in the sidebar. All right. The first option in the sidebar is Home, and it does exactly what it states. It returns you to the front page of the course. If you're ever lost, it's a safe option to go back to. So that's this page that you see in front of you. The second option, listed Syllabus, is a little bit of a misnomer. As we can see, it has a bare bones of a syllabus description at the top, but this is solely because I put it in there. The main purpose of this page is the schedule under the course summary heading. This is the timeline of due dates for the term, so you always are aware of when things are due. The third option, Modules, is a breakdown of the course by learning units. They will be listed in chronological order, so the first modules are due first. It is a great place to look for what is due in a particular unit we are working on, or to directly lead to a particular assessment. You can see how the modules stack up as we go down. And they're not all completely filled in yet, so don't think that the later modules are this small. The fourth module, assignments, is another bare bones list of assignments grouped by time till due date. You can see this is a more detailed setup, but it's also not complete yet. The fifth option, grades, which should be pretty self-explanatory. You'll only need to worry about the assignments tab, as that will be how your grade is calculated and reported. The Learning Mastery tab is an experimental feature I'm playing with to develop better assessment tools. The last option, BibliU, will take you to the school BibliU page, and this is where you can access the e-text for your course. This hasn't been set in place yet by the bookstore, but that's where your course text will be. I'm hoping they get it done sometime this week. We're now going to return to the home page and go over the basic layout of the course. At the top of the page is the contact information for me, maps to my office, which you can find right here. And then I'll be on campus probably Mondays for in-person office hours during the day if you ever want to meet me face-to-face. Also, if you have any other times that, during the day that might work better for you, send me an email and we'll try to set up an appointment that makes sense for the two of us. All right. The second main breakup in this is the course resources. Here you're going to see all the background materials and information for the course, such as the syllabus, where we find our team's recordings and such. So let's go through each of these in a little bit more detail. The course syllabus is just an electronic copy of the syllabus that I sent you earlier. All right, so this has all the same information that's in the course syllabus. I just put it in an HTML format so it looked better on the website rather than always having to download the doc file or PDF file if you lost it. All right. The Microsoft Teams recording page is where you're going to archive all the live sessions for the course. I record every live session in Teams, and the videos are hosted in the MS Stream platform. They'll be linked by date here for your access about 24 hours after the class is done. It takes a little bit of time for the system on the back end to do the closed captioning and stuff, and then I'll post the link up here. Note, you're not required to come to the live sessions, but you are going to need to view them. Anything I say in the live sessions is legitimately part of the course. So if you can't make the live sessions, which are scheduled Monday and Wednesday, 8 to 9:30 p.m., then you need to set aside an hour and a half after each of them to come here and view the recording. If you can at all make the live sessions, it's extremely helpful because that's where you're going to be able to ask me questions that directly pertain to problems you're having, as opposed to just listening to what I say or what other people ask during the live session. All right. Our next session is the ACS periodic table. This is a download. You'll notice when you click on it, it's going to tell you download. You open the file, and it's going to open the file in some time frame. Come on, there we go. This is nothing more than the standardized periodic table that we are going to be using for the course. So when you're doing calculations in the course, and you have to use things like relative atomic mass, which is this number at the bottom of each block in the periodic table, these are the numbers the calculations are based on. So the final answer is going to be dependent on you using these values. So if at all possible, I would print out a copy of this, have it at the ready, because you're going to need this a variety of times throughout the course. I'm never going to make you memorize the periodic table, but I am going to expect that you have a copy with you. All right. So when you're doing assessments, I'm going to expect you have access to a copy of the periodic table, right? And when you do calculations, I'm going to expect that you're using these numbers to do your calculations. The student resources link goes to a number of links for a variety of student services throughout campus. Of note, one of them I do want to point out is the Center for Student Success and Accommodations for Students with Disabilities. If you need accommodations in the course, that has to be approved through the Center for Student Success. I cannot make any accommodations in the course until I get paperwork from the Center for Student Success. As of right now, I don't have any. I check at the beginning of every term. So if you're watching this video for another term, every term at the beginning of the term, I check it. And if you think this is an error or you think you need accommodations, you need to get to Center Student Success and get the paperwork done and all the stuff turned in as quickly as possible. Because nothing hurts worse in a 7-week course than getting 2 weeks in and realizing that you should have had extended testing time or something like that. So take a moment, think about that, do what needs to be done if you need to do that. The last part of this is mainly information, not necessarily absolutely essential to the course, but useful. The first is the About Me page. Yep, that's me. I've shaved the beard since then. Just a little history about me and what I like to do and stuff like that. The next one about Mastery Learning and Mastery Learning Assessment Scale. So a couple of things in the course will be graded on what's called a mastery scale. This is the mastery scale. Most people, if they do a competent job at something, will be scoring at mastery level, which is 3.4 out of 4. Exceeds mastery are when there are no mistakes and you're making connections beyond simply doing the bare minimum for the question, right? So if you get a 3.4, that's good. If you get a 4 point, that's meaning you went above and beyond, or you did a very extensive calculation and didn't screw anything up, which is unusual most of the time. You can still get a mastery 3.4, which is an 85% on a question, a mathematical question with an error in it, as long as the error is a minor mathematical error and not directly linked to the learning objective we're doing in that unit. All right. The last one is the one that most of you don't care at all about, but to me it's fascinating. These are the learning objectives for the course. So what are we actually trying to do, right? So this is what everything is linked back to. Every question in the course, everything we do in the course is linked back to one of these learning objectives. And that way I can tie the performance of the students in different sections to the same criteria and thereby decide where there's weaknesses in the course or where we're covering maybe too much of the same thing in the course. So that's what that's about. Most of you are just going to glance over this and be like, yeah, whatever. All right. Now, underneath this, it says first week introductory activities. You start here. Kind of an idea. Start there. You go in there and it's going to give you a list of things you're supposed to do, right? So there's things you're supposed to read or go through, and then there's a set of assessments you have to do, right? These are 6 assessments that are done very quickly in the first week, all right? These are actually done usually within the first day or two of the, first day or two of the term. Now, they serve kind of 2 purposes. The first is to demonstrate that you're participating in the course. That's one of those things that I have to be able to ascertain very, very quickly so that I can, get students out of the course before they get charged for being in it if they're never attending it. And also it kind of gets you on the ball quickly, knowing that you're responsible for something right away. The second thing in here is it gives you an opportunity to use the basic mechanisms that we're going to be using in the course. How you're going to do exams in the course, how you're going to submit assignments in the course. So you'll see that there's a couple of quizzes and surveys in here that make sure you know how to use the Canvas testing system, the exam system. And you'll also see there's a practice PDF assignment, which shows that you know how to upload a PDF to the system. So should open up. Yeah. PDFs. So you generate a PDF typically through taking an image of it with your phone if you've handwritten it. If you've typed it up, you can save it as a PDF, but then you're going to upload it to Canvas. So to upload it, you'll just drag it here, or you'll select it, or you'll take the webcam photo directly from there, and then you'll say submit assignment, and it'll go into the system. I'm asking you to do a really simple one. Take a piece of paper, write out these 4 things, right? Now, the reason I do have this in here is because chemistry involves a lot of mathematical calculations, and those are really hard to type out. If you ever try to type out a math equation in something like Word, you realize it's a pain in the butt. Yeah, there's an equation editor, but that takes time, and none of you want to learn LaTeX, which is the way to directly type it in so that the computer knows what you're doing. But it's just as easy to write it out, take the picture, upload it. Makes it simpler on both of us. This assignment just shows me that you know how to do that. The course pretest here at the bottom is exactly what it sounds like. You're not expected to do awesome on this. If you got 100% on the course pretest, you're in the wrong course, all right? Just flat out. There's 66 questions on it. It's worth 1 point. The point is simply for completing it, right? You get a point for completing the assessment. Answer as best you can. What this gives me is 2 things. It gives me a benchmark of your performance of how you were at the beginning versus how you were at the end. And 2, it also gives me a kind of 60,000-foot overview of where the class is at. I can look at the individual problems and they're grouped in sets, and I can say, oh, well, this is an area that we're really going to have to do some work on. This is an area that most of them seem to understand what they're doing already. Notice it's due pretty quick. It's due January 16th, 11:59 p.m. This is for obviously the spring 24 class. It's typically due within the first 2 days of a course. And that's because I really want your you haven't learned anything yet view of the course, so that I know where you're starting at. The others are pretty perfunctory. Lab safety quiz is something you've got to get done by the first Friday of the course. You got to read the contract, watch the video, take the quiz. There's 31 questions in the quiz. You've got to get 25 of them right to pass it. Good news is you can take it as many times as you need to get to 25. And even once you're 25, you can take it even more times to get to 31 points. All right. Now, below the first week's activity quizzes are the module pages. So every module is set up in the same way. You'll see there's a module header for each module. In the 7-week course, these go by weeks. In the 15-week courses, about 2 weeks per module. When you open a module page, what you're going to find is a header, usually an image at the top. What chapters we're covering. So in the first module, we're only covering chapter 1. Well, this is because we're going to spend a lot of time also figuring out how the course works, how the layout works, all that other stuff. So first week's a little truncated in information from the book. You'll notice the learning objectives are listed for the week. And you'll also notice that I've kind of broken down the material into specific goals. So Nature of Science is GEO 4.1a. It's this big idea of, do you understand how science works as a whole? But that's kind of a nebulous idea. So I gave you very specific things you need to be able to do. So when you're done and you think you understand the nature of science, you should be able to do all of these things. Differentiate between meaning of hypothesis, theory, and law in scientific context, so on and so forth. So for those of you who say, where's the study guide? This is as close as you're going to get. But it's pretty fine-grained, and you can read each of these statements as the student shall be able to type statements. After the sections for the module, you have the formative work for the module. So the formative work, each of these are connected to one of the sections, right? These are all multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank type questions. These are quizzes. They're short quizzes. They're only 5 questions apiece, all right? And you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like much. It's not when you only have 2 of these in a week. A little bit more when you have 7 of them in 1 week. That's week 2, by the way, for the 7-week courses. So these are focused in formative work on just that specific topic. There are 5 questions and you have 8 minutes to answer them. And you're like, oh my God, that doesn't sound like a lot. It's not. It's not a lot, and it's intentionally not a lot. It's to make sure that you actually know how to answer a question versus you know how to look it up in a book given an infinite amount of time. Now, the upside is this is formative. If you make mistakes, cool, take it again, right? You can take this as many times as you need to. Ideally, every one of these you should get 100% on. Every one of these formative modules, work things, you should get 100% on, because you can take it as many times as you need to before the due date to get that 100%. All right. Now, 5 questions, there's a pool it draws from. So you're going to get some questions over again the next time you take it. And you might end up getting 5 completely different questions the next time you take it. There'll be some that look similar to ones you had in the previous, but different questions. This is meant to train you on the types of questions I'm going to be asking in the summative assessment, what we call the summative assessment part A, the lower end understanding of the summative material. All right. So take these seriously, blow them off, and it's going to hurt your grade because the formative accounts for 20% of the overall grade. So, you can get a pretty good boost to your grade if you just keep banging at these until you get 100% on all of them. By the way, this is what's replacing ALEKS for those of you who've heard the horror stories about ALEKS over the last couple of semesters. All right, laboratory work for the module. Every module is going to have 1 or 2 laboratories. This is a 7-week section I'm talking about right now. Unfortunately, that means some weeks you're going to have 2 laboratories, some weeks you're going to have 1. In the 15-week course, that means some weeks you won't have a laboratory, and some weeks you will. So you'll see the laboratory. There will be an explanation video for each of the laboratories. I am behind on my video making due to a case of pneumonia I'm overcoming. My voice just now got to the point that it's where people could understand me. You'll also see the lab report and page. So if you go to lab report 1, you click on it, it takes you to the lab report. Now, this is a completely online section, which means all the data is virtualized. For those of you in a face-to-face section, you'll be missing the data that's in here, and we'll be collecting that in class. So I will go over the labs at the beginning of the week in a little bit more detail, plus I'll have an explanatory video for each of them. Do take time to watch the videos. Do take time to listen to the live sessions. Almost every question you have about the laboratory is going to be brought up in those. And it's really shocking how many times I get people coming back and saying, how do I do X in the lab? Well, that was minute 3 of the live session, but okay, right? There's a form for each of the laboratories at the bottom. They're graded according to the criteria that we're using to assess them on that mastery scale. right? So 4 points for each of these based on the mastery scale goes back to the grade. The upside with the laboratories is that once you submit it, I will then grade them and I'll send them back to you. After I send the labs back, I'll send an email back to the class saying, look, the labs have been graded. Go and check them. You will then have 3 days to make revisions to your labs and resubmit them to correct any errors you might have had or to improve things that maybe weren't detailed enough, right? So in theory, people always ask this question, doesn't that mean everybody gets 100% on all the labs? In theory, yes. In practice, no. For some reason, people don't go back and revise. Not really sure why, but hey, when we get to the end of the semester and you've got that bad lab grade and you come to me and you say, hey, can I redo lab report 1? I'm going to say no, because I already gave you an option to do that. Gave you 3 days to do it, and you already knew what you screwed up. So, it's on you at that point. Other note, if say you don't get a laboratory turned in on time, you can submit it in that 3-day window, and I will assess it at the end as though it had been submitted right on time. You could get full points. The downside to doing that is you're not going to get that first look where I look at it and say, hey, you kind of messed up this, or you kind of messed up that. All right. Underneath that are the summative assessments. You can think of these as exams, but they're kind of smaller scale since we're doing them every week. Module Part A. Okay, so the module exams Part A, these are multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank. These are very similar to the formative assessments. Not the same questions, similar. So doing the formatives and doing well on the formatives gives you a good leg up on this. What you're going to be doing in the Part A's are for every one of the sections you have in a module, you will get 8 questions and 10 minutes. So for example, module 1 Part A, it is going to be 24 questions because there's 3 sections, 30 minutes. Module 1 Part B, these are the deeper questions. These are all going to be free response answers. So you're going to have to either type things in or write calculations out and take a picture and upload. You get one shot at them. It's an unlimited amount of time once you open it, but once you close it, you're done. All right, so you got to do it in one sitting. And because if you just kind of leave it there and try to go figure out the answer and come back, it's going to log you out. It's going to submit it. All right, so be prepared when you do this. It could be anywhere from 3 to 5 questions for you. And the goal here is to kind of connect the different sections together, right? So this is where you're going to see detailed calculation problems or graphing problems or interpreting graphs more likely than drawing graphs, or, questions about molecular structure, stuff like that, or the dreaded essay problem. Trust me, anything that a student thinks of an essay in my class means a paragraph at most. I'm not looking for a dissertation, right? Underneath that is just a reminder of the readings for the module, and then under that are content videos for the module. Now, some of these are straight from your textbook. You'll notice in your e-text, I've cited a number of videos that are helpful to watch. Plus, I've also got some up here. Some of them are from me. They link directly to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I have one. Trust me, there's nobody on there. And some of them are linked to other creators out there who have much higher production budgets than I do. Hank Green, by the way, is one of my favorites. He's very good at it. So you'll see a number of his videos in here. All right. Now, hopefully this helps you navigate the course page a little bit better, and I'll see you all in class.